Today we're talking about the role that the nervous system has in keeping you replaying the relationship after you've left a trauma bond with a narcissist and are starting to feel the heartbreak. Hey, and welcome back. If my voice sounds a little funny today, bear with me. I'm on the tail end of a lovely sickness that my daughter picked up from somewhere. So we've been running through that in the house. But I wanted to record this episode for you because what we're talking about today is something that I know for certain that so many of you are living in right now. And it is this replay loop. You are out of the relationship, but you mentally feel still very consumed. You might be replaying old fights. You might be reading old journals. You might be still Googling whether or not he's a narcissist at midnight, or holding on to some of these good memories and feeling a mix of nostalgia and also wondering if any of it was real. And the thing about this specific place that you're in is that it is fucking maddening. It is maddening to feel yourself here. So what we're talking about today is the role that the nervous system plays in keeping you in this replay and researching loop after you get out of a trauma bond and you're really starting to feel the heartbreak. What I want you to walk away with from this episode is 3 things. The first is to understand that real reason that the brain is looping through the memories. And I'll give you a little hint. It's not because you're weak. It's part of your survival wiring. And understanding that is going to help you change how you are moving through this process. The second thing is how looking for answers outside of yourself, whether it's on Google or YouTube or your journals, is really keeping you stuck. And I'm going to give you the first step that you can use today to find safety inside yourself so that you can finally stop spending your precious energy replaying and researching and focusing outward on the person that you fought so hard to leave. And remember to stick around to the very end of the episode where I will pull an oracle card. This will offer you a message that you can use to stay more conscious in your healing this week. Okay, so let's take a deep breath and begin. Let's jump right into this because this really lights me up. What I believe to be true in the reason that you are stuck in this replaying loop, in this researching loop, is that you have 2 parts of you that are they have really taken the steering wheel of your bus. And let me explain that metaphor for a minute here. So in IFS, internal family systems parts work, we believe that we have many parts of ourselves, and those parts of us are holding beliefs and feelings and memories and fears and anxieties, and they come forward when we aren't feeling safe. So if you visualize a school bus, you want your adult self-energy to be driving the bus, and all of your parts are in the back. So the parts are welcome to pop up and share what they're feeling and share what they're needing, but we don't want those parts to come forward and take the steering wheel and drive us off a cliff. So what's happening right now, when you are in a place where you feel like it's sort of ruminating or obsessing, or you're stuck in an emotion, you're stuck in a belief, typically there's a part that is present. For the purpose of what we're talking about today, we're going to focus on 2 parts that I see in all of my clients that I have experienced in myself after leaving a relationship with somebody that you believe is a narcissist. The first part that is present here is the part of you that wants to find answers. Just let that land for a second. Do you know this part of you? This part of you that comes online when there's a problem to solve. She's like, I got my glasses, I got my colored pens, I got my notebooks all perfectly placed in a row, and we are going to find this fucking answer, right? She is really convinced that if she figures out why he turned into the person that he turned into, why the relationship was unfixable, where she went wrong, why she stayed in it so long, if she figures out why, then this pain is going to go away. This pain of the heartbreak, this pain of the reality of having been in a relationship with a narcissist. So she is reading old journals and she is scouring these pages, trying to find the answer. And most of the time, this really boils down to, was any of this real? Like, was he always this person? Was he manipulating me on purpose? Did he know what he was doing? And if he was, how did I not see it? How did I fall for it? And this part is coming from a good place. So as I describe the behavior of these parts, I'm definitely not saying that any of this is bad. It just is true. And I'm going to show you as we move through the episode how you can better serve these parts so that you don't feel so out of control in what they're trying to do. So this part of you is trying to find answers. She's scouring through the journals. She's probably replaying old fights. Maybe this is also through a journal entry that you made. Maybe it's just in your memory bank of trying to assess, like, was that gaslighting? Is he really a narcissist? Am I crazy? She's got that on a loop. And then she's probably also having you doing a lot of researching around what is a narcissist, the signs of a narcissist, and trying to get that validation, right? This part of us really wants the black and white answer. Is he a narcissist? Yes or no? Was I manipulated? Yes or no? And this part is looking for those answers to help her feel, again, less discomfort, more safe in the heartbreak and the release of the trauma bond that is happening. The second part of you is this part of you that is wanting to hold on to hope. This part of you that's been living in potential land. If you've heard me talk about potential land, it is the shiny, magical place where all of the dreams come true, where he finally changes, where the relationship gets better, where all the things that you talked about happening come to fruition. This is the place where hope lives. And so this part of you is really practiced at thinking about all the amazing times you had. She has the memory scroll of all of the trips, all of the flowers, all of the gifts, all of the sweet notes, all of the inside jokes, right? She's got a good memory bank of when things felt good, because when they felt good, they felt fucking great, right? She's not remembering the times that felt like absolute shit. She's remembering the times that felt absolutely great. This nostalgia tunnel that this part of you is walking through takes you directly back into potential land. Because when you're in potential land, when there's some amount of hope that things are still going to change and get better, then there's still like a chance. You don't have to actually let go. You don't have to actually feel the heartbreak. You don't have to actually grieve and process all of the shit that happened in the relationship and in those low, low moments. So she's loving potential land. She wants you back in potential land to take away the pain. She might be right now comparing, maybe he's making some changes. Maybe you're seeing him starting to go to the gym, starting to eat better. He's posting on social media about, I don't know, this awakening that he's having. He's using all the right mental health words, like I understand my trauma. And maybe he's even telling you these things specifically of, I realize where I've hurt you and I don't want to hurt you anymore. And you're seeing him make some changes. And this part of you is really assessing those changes and really making the argument for why it's different this time. Even though you've gone through this cycle where this part of you has seen changes before, it's like she's got some filter on what happened after you came back together and the relationship started going downhill. This part of you is very optimistic about living in potential land. She really wants you to stay in the hope. So there's these two parts, the part of you that wants to find the answer and the part of you that wants to live in the hope. And they've got the wheel of your bus. Why? Why do they have the wheel of your bus? What's happening for you right now? When you come out of a trauma-bonded relationship with somebody who is narcissistic or a narcissist, and you are in the withdrawal period of that trauma bond, when you are starting to feel the reality of they're no longer there, the heartbreak is starting to set in, the reality of living in a house in silence is starting to set in, your body is going into a state of dysregulation. You're starting to feel panic. You're starting to feel really shook, really confused. You're starting to feel emotional pain that feels as intense as physical pain and maybe is even manifesting as physical pain. But you are not feeling so hot right now. This isn't like a normal heartbreak, okay? This is a heartbreak on steroids. This is like you going through a breakup where also your nervous system was attached to that person who was harmful in order to make you feel regulated. And you no longer can have that person, just like an alcoholic can no longer have a drink to make them feel better. You can no longer have that person. And so you're left with a dysregulated nervous system, not knowing where the fuck to start to even unpack this relationship or how to deal with the cocktail of emotions that are happening. And so it's very uncomfortable. This is a very painful part of the process. Withdrawal from a trauma-bonded relationship is akin to withdrawal from drugs and alcohol because your body got used to a very specific cycle of ups and downs with your narcissistic partner. And it knew that when you were in the down moments, you would get back together with him, you would find that closeness again, and then you would be in the up moment and it would take away the pain. This is where wires get crossed in a trauma bond, where we really confuse closeness with love, because when we have separation, we feel discomfort, we feel pain. When we come back together with that person, even though that person is harmful and we have lists of reasons why we should not be with that person, that moment of closeness is the dopamine and the oxytocin release that takes all the pain away. And you think, oh, we're back together. This feels so good. We're so in love. This is going to work. And then you fall back into the cycle. So the part of you that is holding on to hope, the part of you that is in the potential land, she is trying to keep you safe. She's trying to find the regulation. She's trying to find the safety, because the safety has been signaled from the closeness that you've had with the person, with the reuniting. So she's like, hey, that's the thing that's going to take the pain away. Let's go back to him. Here's all the reasons that it's going to work this time. The part of you that's researching is trying to take the pain away in a different way. So she's still very aware that the system is in a dysregulation. She comes forward with, hey, I've got the answer. If we just understand this, then the pain's going to go away. So we are, as humans, meaning-making machines. We need meaning for things to make sense. And when things make sense, they feel more understandable, they feel more predictable, and we feel more safe. So this is a normal part of every human being, is we want to create the story around the thing so we can understand it and make it mean something to us. I'll give you a personal example here of how I thought understanding something was going to take away the pain that I was feeling. With my narcissistic ex, he had actually sent me several photos after we broke up during the post-separation abuse. He sent me several photos of him with other women. And there were very clear identifiers of the periods of time in which he was with these women that correlated with the time that we were together. So he wanted me to know that he had been cheating, that there was betrayal that was happening. And I had never felt that level of betrayal before. I had never been in a relationship where I had been cheated on, at least to my knowledge. And so to receive that information was like earth-shattering. It was so painful. I couldn't make sense of it. I started blaming myself. I was trying to figure out how people can cheat, how they can live a double life, how this wasn't just a one-time thing. This was a prolonged thing with several women. I couldn't understand it. And the pain that I felt on top of this incredible depth of pain of just leaving a trauma bond and trying to make sense of it, it was unmanageable. My nervous system was like, no, we don't have the tools to actually feel that and process that and grieve that and whatever we need to do with that. So we're going to just try to understand it. And this part of me really thought that if I understood why people cheated, why people led second lives, how you could betray somebody that you said you loved, if I could understand that, then that would take the pain of being betrayed away. And what I learned the hard way was that does not work. Understanding things is helpful. Yes, I'm not saying that we should not research and understand and satisfy that part of us that wants an answer. Where this can keep us stuck is if we rely solely on the understanding and we're not doing what we need to have the capacity to be able to emotionally process what it was like to be betrayed. So for you, if you are trying to understand narcissism and you're trying to understand how somebody could be so cruel, for instance, but you're not doing the nervous system work to allow you to feel safe enough to start to process what it felt like to receive the cruelty, you're going to stay in the replay and the analyzation and the research trap. We need all the things. We need the information, we need the nervous system tending, we need the emotional processing. We need them all together. So, like I said earlier, there's nothing wrong with the part of you that really wants to understand why. And there's nothing wrong with the part of you that is holding on to the hope. The goal is to understand what those parts are really trying to do and see how you can give them that without letting them take the wheel. So if both of these parts are trying to help you get out of the pain that you're in, how can you as an adult self use different tools and different resources and different support to find that safety in a way that isn't this perceived safety that these parts think are going to make you feel safe? Because external safety is fickle. It is. It's fickle. We can't depend on an external circumstance or an external answer to make us feel safe. In order to feel safe, you have to build that well from within. You have to be able to dip into your own knowing of safety so that you can alleviate the stress of these parts and be like, hey girl, you get to go sit in the back and you get to jump when I go over bumps and you get to enjoy this ride. I hear what you're saying and I've got this. I've got the wheel. So that's what we're doing in parts work, is really trying to understand and relieve the pressure of what these parts are holding and give them something that's actually going to work. So if you don't have the right tool to move through the heartbreak and move through the withdrawal and the grief that comes when you leave a trauma-bonded relationship with a narcissist, then you are going to be stuck seeking the external answer. Or you're going to try to go back to him to try to relieve the uncomfortableness that you're feeling, the pain that you're feeling inside. I want you to start to use tools that can help you feel that internal sense of safety so that you're not seeking externally and making yourself more vulnerable and feeling more out of control. I don't want you giving more hours of your life to combing through the memories and feeling like so much time and energy still focused on figuring out the person that you fought your ass off to leave. That time and energy would give you so much more relief if you focus it inward on yourself and expanding your ability to process what the fuck happened in that relationship. So trauma bonds are complex. And what I want for you is to start with a very small first step. And so I created a free guide. It's called the Trauma Bond Breaker. And this guide is going to help you build that safety so that these parts that are coming forward trust you to be able to navigate the way through the pain. So it's going to help you stop replaying the relationship. It's going to help you start to regulate your nervous system that has been on high alert for months or years. It's going to help you begin to heal from the heartbreak instead of getting sucked back in to the relationship. So this is the Trauma Bond Guide. It's totally free. The link is in the show notes. I want you to please go download this right now if you are feeling so stuck in what do I do after I've left a trauma bond. It's going to be a beautiful and impactful first step for you. When you click through and put your name and your email in, I send these out personally. So I get a notification that you've opted in, and I will send it to you personally because that brings me a lot of joy. And if you feel like sharing any more about your story, that would be a beautiful time to do so. Okay, and to end the episode, as always, let's pull the Oracle card to see what is the message meant for you today. It is see-through. It is a picture of a rib cage where you can see the heart. So let me find the message in the book and I'll read to you what it says. See through brings a message of transparency and clarity. It reminds you not to get lost in the content. Others may want to spin you a tale, but don't be fooled. Cut through the drama and the noise to see or hear what is really going on. What is beneath the surface of the skin? Seek to understand what is behind the words or actions of another, the underlying need. Don't trust the words alone. See through also reminds you that transparency is a brilliant tool for living and relating authentically. How are you showing yourself to others? Are you clouding their ability to see you with too many words? Are your words not aligned with your actions? Where might you unveil the parts of yourself that would be helpful for others to see you more clearly? Always such a perfect message. Please go to the show notes, download the Trauma Bond Breaker free guide, and until I see you in the next episode, please, please, please remember that you are not alone.